Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and then upgrading the Universes Beyond Fallout Hail Caesar Commander Precon. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to ask for your help in supporting my channel, which can be done in the following ways. Subscribing to the channel, sharing any of my content on your socials, watching some of my many other videos, purchasing Super Thanks, purchasing channel memberships, purchasing decks that you may have seen on this channel directly from me on the Blue Bears Games Facebook page, and/or visiting our sponsor at arcane-fortress.com and using discount code BlueBear at checkout if you decide to purchase any of their amazing gaming supplies from them. Anything that you do will help support my channel immensely, and I thank you for it. Now that that is out of the way, let's get to today's video. This will of course be the unboxing of the Precon, where I'll show you everything that comes in the box, including the deck card by card, and then tomorrow I will release an upgrade guide, where I'll go over some options on what I believe you should take out, and then add back in to help make the deck either more fun to play a little better, or best case scenario both. This deck's color identity is red, white, and black, also known as Mardu, and uses Caesar Legion's Emperor as the commander. I don't remember hearing much about this particular precon when the set was being released, so let's take a look at what Caesar does real quick so we can get an idea of what the deck is possibly about. Caesar is 1 red, 1 black, 1 white, and 1 generic mana to cast for a 4/4 legendary human soldier with an ability that says whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose from 2 of the following. Create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. Caesar Legion's Emperor deals damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control to target opponent. Going by the options for this ability, and the colors of Caesar, I can only assume that this will have a creature token making theme. But I'm a little confused if card draw is a sub-theme or not, seeing as how Mardu colors are the worst 3-color pairing for that. I could be wrong, since I don't know if any of the new Fallout cards may have miraculously fixed card draw for the Mardu color pairing. So let's rip this bad boy open, and I'll show you what's in the box, and we can find out together. Here is what the outside of the box looks like. It has Caesar, Legion's Emperor on the front. It says Hail Caesar, and it is black, white, and red. Here's a picture of Caesar on the front on the left side. On the back, it says War Never Changes. Caesar, Legion's Emperor, right there. So let's open her up, and we'll take a look at everything inside. Okay, so it has +1/+1 counters, and then a couple of other counters on the left side, 2 more +1/+1 counters, and 2 other counters on the right side. It has a picture of Caesar Legion's Emperor. This, some people like to cut these out and use them. They're not really that usable. On the back, they have these dividers that I still don't know what to do with. Eventually, I'll figure it out, but if somebody has any idea, please let me know. Here is the box that comes with this one. I will put it together. So one side has Caesar on it, top says Fallout. The 3 colors are on the sides, and of course the bottom is yellow. It's not really that important, but that's what the box looks like. The life wheel has a picture of Caesar, so it's not generic. It goes from 1 to 20 on one side and 21 to 40 on the other. Here's the insert. As they all do, it has a little bit about the actual deck here, the extra commander rules, and then on the other side it has a small picture of Caesar, and then a little bit about Magic's colors. I'll use that to help divide my cards up. Then we've got the deck, and then we have a booster sample pack, a collector's booster sample pack. So let's zoom a little bit, and we'll open up the sample pack, and hopefully I'll get something good. Alright. First one is Ed E, Lonesome Eyebot, extended art, and then a Spire of Industry foil extended art, and it's a little curled right out of the box. That may have a monetary value that's higher than $1, but I'll have it up there for you to see. But we are here for the deck, so let's get into it. Put these aside. Split the deck so it's easier to wield while I'm showing you, and get to it. So I already showed you what Caesar Legion's Emperor does, so we can skip that and go to the secondary suggested commander, which is Mr. House, President and CEO. This is 1 black, 1 white, and 1 red for a 0/4 legendary artifact creature human that has 2 abilities. The first one says whenever you roll a 4 or higher, create a 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. If you rolled 6 or higher, instead create that token and a treasure token. And a second ability that says for 4 and tapping it and rolling a 6-sided die, plus an additional 6-sided die for each mana from treasures spent to activate this turn. And that's all it does. You just roll die. For no reason, there's no benefit other than the first ability. Moving on to the rest of the deck, we start with Gary Clone. It is a 2-to-cast 1/3 creature human citizen that has Squad 2. I like the Squad ability, just so we're all aware. It's a great ability. Whenever Gary Clone attacks, each creature you control named Gary Clone gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I kind of like that card. Butch Deloria Tunnel Snake is a 2-to-cast 2/2 legendary human rogue with Menace, and an ability that says whenever Butch DeLorean attacks, it gets +1/+1 to end turn for each other rogue and or snake you control. And a final ability that says for each 1 black and 1 generic that you put into it, you put a menace counter on another target creature. It becomes a rogue in addition to its other types. Next up is Ruthless Rad Rat, a 3-to-cast 2/2 rat mutant that has Squad, and the Squad here is exile 4 cards from your graveyard, and Menace. Okay. Craig Boone, Novak Guard. It is a 3-to-cast 3/3 legendary human soldier with reach, lifelink, and an ability that says whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put 2 counters on Craig Boone. And when you do, Craig Boone deals damage equal to the number of quest counters on it to up to 1 target creature, unless that creature's controller has Craig deal that much damage to them. Okay. Legate Lanius Caesar's Ace. 4-to-cast 2/2 legendary human soldier. And it has 2 abilities. The first one is when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a 10th of the creatures that they control, rounded up. And then whenever an opponent sacrifices a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. White Glove Gourmand. 4-to-cast 2/2 human noble with 2 abilities. The first one says whenever it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. And the second ability says at the beginning of your end step, if another human died under your control this turn, create a food token. Cannibal stuff there? Weird. Charisma Bobblehead. So again, it's a 3-to-cast artifact bobblehead that can tap to add a mana of any color. This one's ability is for 4 and tapping it. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control, and you can only activate it as a sorcery. Luck Bobblehead. Again, 3-to-cast, taps to add a mana of any color. Its ability is paying 1, tapping it, and rolling X 6-sided dice, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control, and create a tapped treasure token for each even result. If you rolled 6 exactly 7 times, you win the game, which, good luck. There are 7 bobbleheads, so you have to have every bobblehead, and you have to be that lucky. Only my girlfriend's that lucky with dice rolling. Survivor's Medkit, a 1-to-cast artifact that says you can pay 1 and tap it and choose one that hasn't been chosen. You can draw a card, you can create a food token, or target player loses all rad counters and then sacrifice Survivor's Medkit. Impassioned Orator, this is a reprint. Intangible Virtue, another reprint. Bastion of Remembrance, ooh, with a new picture. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. That is a reprint. Deadly Dispute. Morbid Opportunist. Pitiless Plunder, very good reprint. Heroic Reinforcements, a token-creating reprint. General's Enforcer, I believe this is a reprint. I'm still going to read it. It's a 2-to-cast 2/3 human soldier that says legendary humans you control have indestructible, and then for each 1 black, 1 white, and 2 generic you put into it, you can exile target card from a graveyard, and if it was a creature card, you create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. That may not be a reprint. I don't know. Wear and Tear, this is actually a pretty good reprint. Destroys an artifact or an enchantment, and you can fuse them, which means that you can do both if you need to. It's one of the few split card abilities that exist that you can do that with. Arcane Signet. Skull Clamp, really good reprint. Probably much needed. Hasn't been reprinted in a while. Soul Ring. Talisman of Conviction. Talisman of Hierarchy. And then, of course, Talisman of Indulgence. Ash Barrens. Command Tower. Evolving Wilds. Memorial to Glory. These are all reprints. Aradesh, the Founder. This is a 3-to-cast 1/4 legendary human soldier that has Enlist, and then whenever a creature you control attacks, if it enlisted a creature this combat, the creature that attacked gains double strike until end of turn. If that creature's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. Battle of Hoover Dam, a 4-to-cast enchantment, says, as Battle of Hoover Dam enters the battlefield, you choose NCR or Legion. NCR says, at the beginning of your end step, return target creature with a mana value of 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And Legion says, whenever a creature you control dies, put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. I don't like finality counters. I'm going to state that every time, but at least it gives you some redundancy to getting creatures back, especially if they have an enters the battlefield ability. Next is Overseer of Vault 76. It is a 3-cast 3/3 legendary human advisor with 2 abilities. The first one says whenever it or another creature with power 3 or less enters the battlefield under your control, put a quest counter on it. And then it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may remove 3 quest counters from among permanents that you control, and when you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. Securitron Squadron. So it's a 2-cast 2/2 artifact creature robot with squad 3, vigilance, and whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Sierra Nuka's Biggest Fan is a 4-cast 3/4 legendary human citizen that has 2 abilities. The first ability says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, put a quest counter on Sierra Nuka's Biggest Fan and create a food token. The second ability says whenever you sacrifice a food, target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of quest counters on Sierra. Vault 75 Middle School is a 4-cast enchantment saga with 3 chapters. The first chapter says exile all creatures with power 4 or greater, and then the second and third chapter both say put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That may be almost a worthwhile saga, in my opinion. Yes Man Personal Securitron is a 3-cast 2/2 legendary artifact creature robot. It has 2 abilities. The first one says you can tap it and have target opponent gain control of it, and then when they do, you draw 2 cards and put a quest counter on it, and you can only activate that during your turn. And then a second ability that says when Yes Man leaves the battlefield, its owner creates a tapped 1/1 white soldier creature token for each quest counter on it. Vats, a 4-cast instant with split second that says choose any number of target creatures with equal toughness and destroy those creatures. Wasteland Raider. This is a 4-cast 4/3 creature human mercenary with squad 2, and when Wasteland Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Mysterious Stranger is a 4-cast 3/2 human rogue with flash, and then when it enters the battlefield, for each graveyard with an instant or sorcery in it, exile target instant or sorcery card from that graveyard. If 2 or more cards are exiled this way, choose one of them at random and copy it, and you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Powder Ganger is a 3-cast 2/2 human rogue with squad 2, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact. Rose Cutthroat Raider, a 4-cast 3/2 legendary artifact creature robot with first strike that has raid, and the raid is at the end of combat on your turn. If you attacked this turn, create a junk token for each opponent attacked, and then whenever you sacrifice a junk, you add a red. Thrill Kill Disciple is a 3-cast 3/2 human mercenary with squad 1 and discard a card, and then it says when it dies, create a junk token. Wild Wasteland is a 3-cast enchantment that says you skip your draw step, and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you may play those cards this turn. Boomer Scrapper is a 3-cast 1/1 human soldier that has 2 abilities. The first one says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you lose a life and create a junk token. And then the second ability says whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this. Colonel Autumn is a 3-cast 2/3 legendary human soldier. Has lifelink, exploit. Other legendary creatures you control have exploit. And whenever a creature you control exploits a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Desdemona, Freedom's Edge, is a 4-cast 3/4 legendary human rogue that has vigilance, and a second ability that says when it attacks, target creature card in your graveyard that's an artifact or that has mana value 3 or less gains escape until end of turn, and the escape cost is equal to the mana cost plus exiling 2 cards from your graveyard. Elder Arthur Maxon is a 3-to-cast, 4/2 legendary human knight that has 2 abilities. It says creature tokens you control have training, and then the second ability says sacrifice another creature. Elder Arthur Maxon gains indestructible until end of turn. Kellogg Dangerous Mind is a 3-to-cast, 3/2 legendary human mercenary that has first strike and haste, and then whenever it attacks, create a treasure token, and then sacrifice 5 treasure tokens to gain control of the target creature for as long as you control Kellogg, and you can only activate that as a sorcery. McCready Lamplight Mayor is a 2-to-cast, 1/3 legendary human advisor that has 2 abilities. The first one says whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, it gains Skulk until end of turn. And then whenever a creature with power 4 or greater attacks, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. The Nipton Lottery is a 4-to-cast sorcery that says choose a creature at random. You gain control of that creature until end of turn. You untap it, it gains haste until end of turn, and then destroy all other creatures. Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty is a 3-to-cast, 3/2 legendary human knight with Battalion. And for this battalion, it says whenever it attacks with at least 2 other creatures, draw a card. Then you may put a creature card with a mana value of X or less from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, where X is Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty's power. Vault 11 Voter's Dilemma is a 4-to-cast saga with 3 chapters. Chapter 1 says for each opponent you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And chapters 2 and 3 say each player secretly votes for up to 1 creature, and when those votes are revealed, if no creatures got votes, each player draws a card. Otherwise, destroy each creature with the most votes or tied for the most votes. So that's the first half of the deck. Second half will have a lot of reprints. I'm sure a couple of them I'll have to read off too. Starting with Ed E, Lonesome Eyebot, which was in the Collector's Booster sample pack, is a 3-to-cast, 2/1 legendary artifact creature robot with flying, and then 2 other abilities. The first one says whenever you attack, if the number of attacking creatures is greater than the number of quest counters on Eddie, put a quest counter on it. And then the second ability says for 2 and sacrificing Eddie, draw a card, then draw an additional card for each quest counter that was on Eddie. Desolate Mire, so we might be getting into a land section here. This is an enemy-colored filter land. Diamond City, it enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it. It taps to add a colorless, or you can tap it to move a shield counter from Diamond City to target creature and activate only if 2 or more creatures entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Yeah, it looks like we're going to hit some reprints here. Captain of the Watch, this is a reprint. Entrapment Maneuver, this may be a reprint, but I don't recognize it. So this is a 4-to-cast instant that has target player sacrifice an attacking creature, and then you create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, where X is that creature's toughness. Hour of Reckoning, this is definitely a reprint. In a token deck, that's a good one. Keeper of the Accord, Marshal's Anthem, so yeah, now we're in reprints. Martial Coup, Secure the Wastes, Black Market, Lethal Scheme. I do not recognize this one either. It's a 4-to-cast instant with Convoke, and destroy target creature or planeswalker, and each creature that convoked Lethal Scheme connives. That may be a reprint, I don't recognize it though. Stolen Strategy, definitely a reprint. Anguished Unmaking, targeted removal reprint. Assemble the Legion, Fervent Charge, Ruinous Ultimatum, Canyon Sloth, Clifftop Retreat, Dragon Skull Summit, all check lands, Isolated Chapel, Shadowblood Ridge, the Smoldering Marsh, Temple of Malice, Triumph, and Silence, so those will be removed. Windbrisk Heights, Myriad Landscape, Nomad Outpost, Path of Ancestry, Tainted Field, a new picture for a tainted land, that's nice. Tainted Peak, Terramorphic Expanse, and then it looks like we're going to hit some full art lands here. Some plains, swamps, and mountains. This is the thick version of Caesar Legion's Emperor. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker than the rest of the cards. It doesn't bend as easily. And then we have the tokens for the deck. Robot, copy, another robot, another copy, some soldiers, different pictures of them, a warrior or two, and then on the back, some more soldiers, some food tokens, treasure token, human soldiers, junk tokens, and treasure tokens. And that, my friends, is what comes in the Universes Beyond Fallout Hail Caesar Commander Precon. I was right that this is absolutely a creature token themed deck, and I'm super happy to see more cards with the squad ability, but the sub-theme was not card draw. It looks like there were bits and pieces of other themes like aristocrats and life gain, but nothing really defined. Token-based themes tend to open up a lot of options for sub-themes, so I guess I can see why they included parts of different ones. I guess that means I know what I have to do for the upgrade guide, to find a sub-theme. Ooh, I wonder which one I'll go with. I bet you do too, so if you want to know, you're going to have to check back tomorrow to find out. Well folks, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for more Magic content to watch, please go browse my channel and take a look at some of my many other videos. I've made quite a few over the years that I think you'll enjoy, and then please be sure to check back tomorrow for that upgrade guide. Before you go, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, so you can be notified of any time I release new content, which is typically every Friday. Have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.